You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. One of my contentions as the first month of the season for LSU has gone on has been that LSU is playing the freshmen defensively more and more and more. And I do believe that is intentional. I've told you that my thought is they are looking at this the same way they did the offensive line 2 years ago with Campbell and Jones. You've heard me say this. They looked at those guys and said, you know what? You're green, but athletically you're the best we got, the highest ceiling. We're just going to start getting you experience now because they didn't have no doubt options there. And so they played the young guys, and as the season went along, they got really good. There was a very bad line at the beginning of the season against Florida State. By the end of the season, they were actually really good, and last year they were dominant. I think they're doing the same thing defensively. And so I wanted to delve into some of the PFF numbers and the snap counts to see if that was actually bearing out. And I don't think this is a giant surprise, but we are seeing that in a couple of positions in particular. The two freshmen defensively that have played the most for LSU this year both spoke to reporters earlier this week, and it's Ahmad Bro and Deshaun Spears. Let me just, first of all, walk you through Deshaun Spears' snap counts game by game. And there's no test. You don't need to, these numbers aren't going to mean anything to you, except it's just going to illustrate how much more they're counting on Deshaun Spears as his freshman season has gone along. Against Southern Cal, Spears played 2 defensive snaps. 2. Remember, he was in at he was the last line of defense when USC scored the game-winning touchdown. There's a shot of it right there if you're watching. He was the guy. 2 snaps. Against Nichols, 28. Now, granted, game got away in the second half, and so you could play some young guys. But then you go on the road against South Carolina, he starts and plays 44 snaps. Then last week against UCLA, started again, but remember, they rotated 6 safeties a week ago. 6 safeties took snaps a week ago against UCLA. And so he played 37 snaps. So 2, 28, 44, 37. When Deshaun Spears met with reporters earlier this week, he was asked about playing here as a true freshman.
Typically when I'm out there, I don't really think that I'm, a freshman. I'm just out there flying around trying to play, with the big kids. So, that's really all I think.
So running around, not thinking of it as a freshman, but the speed of the game is the thing that for freshmen always matters the most. He was asked about adjusting to the speed.
Speed of the game, it gets fast, but, when you know what you do, know what to do, and, like I said, stay consistent throughout your keys and stuff, it'll slow down eventually.
It'll slow down eventually, but it only slows down the more you do it. It's like anything else in life. I mean, I've given the example of being on air. This isn't something that's relatable to everyone, but the first time you do this and the mic comes on for real is fast, but the more you get used to it, you get comfortable. It's no different than anything you do. I mean, if you're a machinist, if you're a heavy equipment operator, the first time you're at the controls, it probably seems overwhelming. But you do it for a month, and then a year, and then a decade. I mean, you can do it in your sleep. It's like anything else in life. The more you do something, the more comfortable you're going to be. If you're an attorney, the first time you tried a case, the first time you sat in the courtroom and you got up to address the judge or the jury, I mean, imagine that feeling compared to the 100th time you did it or the 1,000th time you did it. You're a surgeon, the first time you actually operated for real on somebody as opposed to the 1,000th time. You get it. No different here. But the only way you get that is experience. You got to go do it. And so that's the commitment they very clearly made. Now, Spears and Bro are the guys that have played the most. Here's Bro's snap count. Against USC, took 14 snaps. Nichols, 16. And we know against Nichols, that's when Tank got hurt. So a week later, he started against South Carolina, 31 snaps. And then last week against UCLA, 33. Brian Kelly said it. There's nobody on that line that can go play 60 snaps, 70 snaps in a ballgame. You need a bunch of guys taking 20, 30 snaps to stay fresh throughout the course of a ballgame. So for Bro, 14, 16, 31, 33. Now, this week, everyone's talked about Ahmad Bro's weight gain, and rightfully so. It's a great story, adds a lot of color and character to how he went from 245 to 285 from spring to now. He gave the Whataburger order and all that stuff. But he also gave a really detailed answer about the plan. Like if he knew the plan was to move him from D end to D tackle. Because remember, he came to campus as a 245-pound defensive end, went through spring at defensive end, and only then did they switch him to tackle.
People were cracking jokes about it, but I didn't think they were serious because Sherman Wilson, he saw me on a visit, and it was actually when I got big on accident, and I came to a visit, and he was like, "You gonna eat yourself into a 3-tech?" Everybody else kept cracking the same joke, and Coach Kelly on my OV, he said, "I'm gonna talk to Dr. Frisbee and get you up to 275." I was like, "Oh." This kind of big for DN, ain't it? So, yeah, I guess it was their plan the whole time. He even talked to my coach, and I played interior D-line for the rest of the season, my senior year. So I think it was their plan the whole time to move me in.
That was their plan, and that really got ramped up. Very, very clearly that got ramped up when Jacoby and Guillory got hurt. Now, you also have Dominic McKinley returning. Dominic McKinley has only played in one game. He missed the first 3 games, but he played 18 snaps. 18 snaps against UCLA this past weekend, and they were productive. Got himself a sack. By the way, Ahmad Bro also talked about Dominic McKinley.
Oh, man, Dom's my dog, man. You know, I was glad to see him get his first sack, you know, against an opponent like UCLA, his first game getting in. Yeah, it was special. And, you know, being able to share that with him, you know, it's going to be us for the next 3 to 4 years. So I'm glad to see him, you know, coming into his own. Don could be a physical, dominant player. Like he's different. He can move well for his size. You know, he's becoming more trim. You know, being able to move better. And by the time it's all said and done, he's going to be a great player for LSU.
I'm not saying it's ideal playing a bunch of freshmen, but you're going to go through it this year, getting these guys more experience, and you're going to be better for it next year and the following. By the way, Gabe Relaford didn't take a defensive snap against SC, 25 against Nichols, 13 against South Carolina, just 1 last week against UCLA. P.J. Woodland was a guy they thought they were going to count on early. 9 defensive snaps against USC, 26 against Nichols, didn't see the field against South Carolina, and just 2 snaps against UCLA. So they have narrowed the focus at cornerback. Moving Sage Ryan back to safety. Woodland isn't playing. Right now, it's Stamps. If of course, that also coincides with Zy Alexander returning, right? So if Zy Alexander, who we'll probably get an update on Thursday, you know, in the concussion protocol, what's there, but Stamps and Zy are your starters. J.K. Johnson, Jair Brown are probably the next guys you're seeing with Woodland's productivity and his snaps going down. He just didn't do the most with them. So you can see there's that handful of freshmen defensively that they're counting on to give them key snaps, and that's going to continue. That's sort of been our thesis, our idea, our theory. The snap count bears it out. That adds a little more description. We'll see how that continues to evolve this week, and we'll follow this throughout the course of the season. But they're letting these dudes try by fire. Counting on a lot of young guys. See how they continue to do. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.